I know that we know you, but for emphasis of people that are watching live, please, your name, sir.
Yeah, my name is Senator Shehu Sani. I'm from Kaduna State. Yes.
Thank you very much. We're going to talk briefly on sport, football to be precise. Last week, we know that Super Eagles did well in AFCON. They got to semi-final and unfortunately lost to the final and got a silver medal. And the government of the day were so happy and they rewarded them. What's your take on the performance on the Super Eagles?
Well, first of all, I'm a sports enthusiast, and specifically football. I so much cherish football and have been a follower of football events right from the 80s to this time. And I'm a good academic on the study of the Super Eagles, the past, the not so distant past, the present, and hopefully the future. And I can confidently say that the Super Eagles that have finished on the second ladder should be rewarded, should be appreciated for all they have done. But we must be frank with ourselves that that team does not represent the best of Nigeria. If you should be realistic with yourself, Nigeria's problem have always been selection of who are going to play for this country. If you go back into history, please compare the Super Eagles or Green Eagles of 1980 that won the Nations Cup, captained by Shehu Sani, and compare the Super Eagles of 94 and 96, and tell yourself the truth, whether these Super Eagles met the standard that was in the past. And there have been a lot of questions on what is the process of selecting those who will play for Nigeria. You see, what I will emphasize on is that South Africa has not performed very well. They finished the third. But the story I've heard that almost 80% of their players are from the local league. That is very good. And to me, I believe we have talents. We have superstars who can do better in both continental and global championship. And we have to now sit down and study what went wrong. Because in most of the matches, I can simply say most times we were lucky. You can't check and compare these Super Eagles with that of the ones that we had in the past. So I will give a radical solution to Nigeria's football, which will be the solution of Nigeria's football. We should have 6 national coaches, which each of the 6 national coaches should select players. Let's have 6 national teams. And then those 6 national teams should now play against each other. And then we can now select the best out of them. A situation where you have one national coach, where everyone looks towards him, put pressure on him, and then the decision of who plays for Nigeria begins and ends with him, that's what breeds corruption. There have been allegations that people who were selected to play for the national team were actually people who a deal was struck behind the scene. So to me, if we are going to get the best of Nigeria, let us have 6 coaches. And each of these coaches should be given the opportunity to invite 24 players. And one coach can be in National Stadium Abuja, one national coach with his team. Another national coach should be in Lagos. Another national coach, another coach should be in Port Harcourt. One should be in Enugu. Another one should be in Kaduna. Each one should select Super Eagles players. And then at the end of the day, let us play a match and select the best out of them. Nigeria will provide the best. But you can't tell me that these people And we have this mentality. Simply because you have gone out of the country and you play for one team or another, and then you bring them here. And when you bring them here, they will not demonstrate the kind of patriotism because they are playing here for the country and there they are playing for money. So I want a situation where we'll go back to the past and select people who can play for it. Because to me, I can divide Nigeria's football into two. The talents that come from street football and the one that come from football academy. The generation that have won trophy for Nigeria's football are those street footballers who grew from playing in the street, in the dirt, in the sand, and they won trophies for Nigeria. They are the generation of 1980, they are not 1994, they are 1996. These were the ones that grew up. But this Ajebota Football Academy, where son of our children, that of governors, those of directors, those of members of House of Reps are being brought and then they will be taking ice cream and juice and paying hefty money to a certain football academy, and then you will now have dream that they will come and play for national team. I will place a call to the Minister of Sport or to the coach of national team. I said, this is the son of Senator Shehu Sani. My son is playing well in one football academy, and then get him in. That is not, you need that footballers, that street footballers. The one that if you get injured, they put sand there, and then you, these are the ones who won trophies for Nigeria. This is where we belong. The way we are moving in this country here, we always go, and then we'll fail. And we should also take it that, you see, it is what you invest that you will reap. You can't neglect football. You can't neglect local football and depend on those who come from abroad. Why don't we develop our own local football and get our own local talent? I remember in those days, the days of Leventis United, the days of Rangers, the days of ICC Units, Rangers, NYU National, New Nigerian Bank of Benin, Spartans of Owerri. These were the golden era of Nigerian football. Not now, where you are determined by if you play for Chelsea, Arsenal, or Manchester United, and then you come back here. Please, Nigerian football need a radical revolution.
So you are proposing for indigenous coaches when you talk about 6 national teams from 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Are you not proposing for indigenous coaches for the national teams?
Of course, we have to look at our indigenous coaches. If you don't patronize your indigenous coaches, who will do that for you? We shouldn't be. Look at Stephen Keshi. Was he not an indigenous coach? What happened? So we have people who can still. What stops you from a professional footballer who played abroad and becomes a coach in Nigeria, and then now becoming grooming a team? Why don't we do that? So I think this is my own view. I didn't say we shouldn't have a foreign coach. Sometimes it's good to have someone who will rise above our own local politics. But I will say that let us also give chance to our own. All what I say, Nigeria's problem of Nigerian football is selecting who are the best to play for Nigeria.
Taking you back to the economy of the country. Yes. Those days you were talking about Spartans, Rangers, you know our economy then is not same now. Let's take a look at it now. The economy of this country presently, can it stop the exodus of good players, quality players from leaving this country?
You see, we just don't want to do what is right for our country. Sport is as important as oil. Sport is as important as tourism. Why should a country like Jamaica go to the Olympics and be coming back with 6, 7, 8 gold medals, and a country like Nigeria will end up battling with 1 bronze? We should ask ourselves. And you look at in the past, every bank, every oil company, every companies in Nigeria, they have football teams. ICC was owned by a company. Leventis United was owned by a company. Stationary Tours was owned by a company. This is what it is. So, but today, local football is now part of state government parastatals. Look at it.
The companies are
and now, what stops banks that are making billions of naira from hosting or from owning football companies? Before, First Bank has a national team, has a football team. Nigerian Railway has a football team. NEPA has football. Water Corporation, they all have football teams. So the incentive they need now is that there should be some waiver for companies that are ready to invest in sport. In 5 years of Nigeria's history, 17 trillion naira was lost to waivers. Look at this stadium. It was also part of the wavering fraud everywhere.
17 trillion.
17 trillion Nigeria's money in 5 years was lost in the name of waiver. And none of this, part of this money was waived for sports. So well, sportsmen are even more important than in terms of revamping the nation's image and also bringing good things, investment to Nigeria. So I believe that we should be able to support it because
the exodus
of
players
yeah,
local players.
It's natural that players will go out of the country and seek for greener pasture. There is nothing wrong with that. You can move to Saudi Arabia and European clubs to search for a greener pasture. But that does not mean we should neglect those who are not able to go and search for greener pasture. And I have no doubt that if my formula of having 6 national teams are being implemented in Nigeria, I will produce the best.
Okay, sir. Talking about producing the best, you mentioned the plans you have regarding the 6 geopolitical, base, the coaches and all that. Another factor affecting Nigerian athletes, not just football and generally, is the enabling environment in terms of the facility. Do you think we have all it takes, even if we discover this talent, where to place them for them to be properly groomed?
Facility. And
you see, when you talk of facility, I was in this national stadium when the cycling championship was held. Nigeria, this velodrome is one of the best in Africa. But unfortunately, when they came here to do the continental championship, our athletes were using old bicycles. So you ask yourself, how much does a bicycle cost that we cannot afford it? So you look at it, and then when you talk generally about athletes in the whole world, look at the economy of Jamaica. Can Jamaica go to Olympia and come back with 10 gold medals? And then you now talk of economy in Nigeria, an oil producing country with all the kind of resources that we have. It's just lack of seriousness. We want to reap where we do not sow. We want to get we want our athletes to win while they are not motivated, while our resources are not being provided for them. And this is not what it used to be.
Sir, in terms of facility, who do you think we should blame for not providing facilities for these athletes?
Well, it is none other than the government. It's the government that's supposed to be blamed, because if you have the facilities for sports, you will get the best out of it. And Nigeria is the sporting hub of the whole world. We can win gold medals in Olympics, win in everything, but we are simply a sleeping giant in sports, and it's unfortunate.
So your scorecard for the Super Eagles in this just concluded.
These Super Eagles? Well, they have already won the silver, but I can tell you that if we attempt to take these ones out of this continent here, it will be the same thing, because each time Africa will go to World Cup with 5 teams. In the first round, they will remove 2. In the second round, they will remove another 2. Then we will all raise our hope on 1. And at the end, they will be struggling in quarterfinal. Then in the quarterfinal will be ejected. We'll say, oh, they could have moved to semi-final. So this has always been the trend. So we can't take these ones here outside of this continent. We have to be very careful.
But finally, in terms of budgetary allocation for sports, a lot of people feel that it's not really worth it in terms of the amount.
That is what I'm telling you. We don't budget for sports because even in the Senate, if they give you Chairman Senate Committee on Sport, is that they have finished all sharing all the lucrative positions, and then they throw you to sport. And no senator wants to be Chairman Senate Committee. There are some committees that you don't want to be chairman, like Senate Committee on Sport, Senate Committee on Information, Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption, because those places are not lucrative at all. So if you see anybody thrown to Senate Committee on Sport, that person, they have finished sharing that of oil and gas, so they will throw that one too. Because this is the way we relegate sport. And at the end of the day, these are the things that brings good name to us. Now look at, when people think of Somalia, think of Ethiopia, think of Kenya, they first think of the glory and honor the athletes of those countries we're able to bring to those countries. When you think of Jamaica, you know what they are able to do. When you think of boxing, amateur boxing, you think of Cuba. These are all countries that are able to produce some of the best. So why can't we, as a nation, be able to do that? That's my question, and thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sani Shehu.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for speaking to Authority News this evening and the media.